How did the LA Gladiators pull off arguably the greatest play in Overwatch esports? Having to capture the first point of King's Row, the Gladiators devised a crazy, never seen before plan. Have you ever heard the phrase, "it's so crazy that it might just work"? That's exactly what happened, and they pulled it off against none other than Overwatch League champions, the London Spitfire.
I'm gonna call this the merry-go-round because it makes me laugh, makes me happy, and Short Force wins to the Widowmaker at just the right time. Closer drops down, and it's a day in the shooting range for Lane Roberts.
How do they do it? In this video, I'm gonna break down the entire play from team positioning and execution to the roles each player took part in, and even go more in depth using the voice comms of the Gladiators. Without further ado, let's get this analysis started. Alright, so let's look at the defensive positioning of the London Spitfire. Fury is on top of the statue, and with an extremely high elevation, Fury is able to scout both the bottom and the top layer of the front spawn. This is simply to get some information regarding LA's comp in hopes of countering them with one of their plans. Everybody else is playing behind Jester's Orisa shield at clock. Bamboozle is on the ground, however, but he will move up the stairs to support the rest of his squad, so don't really worry about that. So why is London exactly playing here? Well, the first reason is that Birdring gets a chance to kill anybody such as Widow peeking from the top of the enemy spawn with a 100% guarantee that he won't die since the shield is fully protecting him. This same concept also applies to Prophet. He is able to poke from an aggressive position on Junkrat with his projectiles, all the while being safe behind a shield. This position is far more superior to a passive position like Halls or left side clock because a passive position allows the attackers to gain more ground and map control without a hard contest. Set up in an aggressive position like right side clock, London is able to limit the movement of the attackers, which denies him map control because LA is forced to go hotel, and here's the explanation why. This high ground naturally counters 75% of LA's potential movements. The Gladiators have 4 choices to attack the point. First is going up middle straight to the point, second is going from statue, third is going to alley, and the last is going through hotel. If the LA Gladiators choose to go from middle or statue, they are hard countered because the Spitfire have the defensive high ground. This is really important to understand because a Reinhardt shield from the attackers cannot block all of the damage of the defenders simply because they have a wider FOV. Hence, the chances of a member in your backline dying is just way too high, so the only 2 options are going through hotel or alley. Now, alley is a decent position if you think about it because you are taking high ground yourself, but you have to remember that the defense is on an equal playing field, so you're really not taking any advantages for yourself. Another thing to note in this situation is that Prophet is on Junkrat, and if LA Gladiators choose to go alley, it would be devastating because the Junkrat AoE damage would just destroy in this tight corridor. Therefore, the only reasonable method of approach is LA going through hotel.
Hotel, we go there, okay?
Oh yeah.
No save?
Junkrat.
Okay, remember 1 inch from the wall. Save your buff.
Junkrat widow.
We're doing that around. We're going.
There are 2 important things to take note here from LA. Number 1 is the hard left entry they took from the spawn, which completely counters Fury's position from the statue. Fury is not able to spot anybody in his FOV, so right off the bat, the Gladiators keep the Spitfire in the dark. The second important thing to note is what iRemix said when they spotted the Junkrat, and he says, remember, 1 inch from the wall. Remix emphasizes for everybody to remain close to this wall for the sole reason of not being touched by Junkrat's projectiles. It's almost impossible for Junkrat to hit projectiles over this gate and for the projectiles to land directly behind the wall, so little things like this is what an Overwatch League team needs to pick up on in order to be successful. I mean, you never know what could happen. 2 to 3 hits from Junkrat and he already has the ult advantage, or worse, he might even get a kill. So great job by Remix spotting that out.
Second point. Okay, go hotel. Careful trap. Trap. Remember, back. Go.
Alright, so real quick, great job by Big Goose to be called for the speed boost. This might be obvious to you guys, but the speed really helps LA move in and out faster, which makes it harder for London to do damage and also spot their comp. As you heard in the voice comms, LA was stressing over Junkrat's trap because if someone gets caught, they can either die, which is worst case scenario, but also they are forced to use resources to save the person, like a Zarya bubble, a Diva Matrix, Ryan shield, which means LA inherently is put at a disadvantage before the fight even starts.
Keep going.
Alright, so right here, London moves to a new position. Now if you look at their new positioning, London's tanks completely leave high ground and set up on point. And you might ask, well, why would they abandon high ground? I thought that was a perfect spot. Well, once LA goes to your hotel and sets up, right side halls where London was originally playing actually loses its advantage, and here's why. If London stays up top, they are giving LA complete map control of the point with a really weak contest, because all LA has to do is set up near the telephone booth, resulting in London's FOV to be completely limited and cut off. Also, London will eventually have to drop and contest a point anyway, so let me raise a question here. What's a better contest for London? Jester dropping to the point and having a shield battle, being on an equal 50-50 playing field, or dropping to the point early, causing LA to be completely boxed into this corridor outside of hotel? London's counter position is super strong here because they are giving LA no room to work with, and with Profit on Junkrat, this is not a good look for LA if they take the fight. However, the genius of LA is that they already took all of these situations into account and they know exactly what they're doing.
Careful, let me chill. We don't perch. They're on point. Okay. Careful.
Alright, so something important to realize is that 3:45 is the exact time you can press tab and see the hero composition of your enemy. And at this time, LA was just passing through the arches. So about 3:43, LA is completely through the arches, and that's when I believe London pressed tab to check the comp of LA. Now LA is going from hotel to coming out of hotel and into arches in the span of 3 seconds. London had exactly 3 seconds to process every single thing going on, like listening to their 5 teammates, how to counter LA, who to shoot at, where they are going, what they are doing, and then they press tab to see Surefour on Brigida. Even if they did not see Surefour with their own eyes, once they press tab, their cognitive processes receives inaccurate validation, which reassures them Surefour was indeed with the team, even though he's still in spawn hiding. Psychologically, this plays out to be an illusion, hence why London doesn't realize Surefour is not with the team.
Nice. I go hold there.
Keep going. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna call the 3-2-1. They have solo heal.
Just a quick side note, you hear a player on LA saying they have solo heal, and this is to hint at Surefour to maybe focus the healer if it's spotted, because once the only healer dies, London will simply collapse.
Yeah, wait for me. Okay, walk in.
Yeah. Okay.
We drop from perch to point.
Keep going. Goose call it.
Yeah. Mine dead.
Hey, 3, 2, 1, now. Yep. I'm speeding.
Yeah.
Someone rush on point.
Rush point.
We don't are bait.
Go,
Risa.
I'm high. Rico point. Everyone.
We don't. Chunkali. Yeah, ignore. Yeah, don't try. I'm pumping.
Get Junka point.
Good shots.
Nice, so you're insane.
3 points. Guys, they have monkey.
Snowball.
Alright, that was amazing, so let me rewind and break down the actual execution. So LA calls the 3-2-1, and that's just to make the execution more efficient since everyone is on the same page. Also, if Surefour switches to Widowmaker too early, London will know Surefour is still in spawn and try to bum rush LA, who only have 5 at this point, so it'll basically be a 6 versus 5. The only way to counter a pinch is to push one side hard in hopes of crushing them before the flank comes in. That way you don't get converged on. Another thing that probably helped with Surefour's perfect timing was he was looking at Remix's screen. This is honestly a tactic everybody should be using at LAN, and a veteran like Surefour is definitely going to be taking advantage of playing on stage. If this was being played online, he would only be relying on the comms of his teammates, but seeing everything through his main tank's monitor allows him to perfectly time the switch. Now finally, the execution to hit the shots and get the free kills is all placed on Surefour. The pressure this guy was under was probably so insane, but props to him, he really stepped up and delivered. You guys would be surprised, but there's a phenomenon among FPS games that hitting shots where nobody is looking at you is sometimes harder than hitting the challenging shots, mainly due to the pressure, and you probably see people whiffing all the time in your ranked games. If you looked at Surefour's screen, he takes his time, and that's really key because he wants to ensure the kill. I'm gonna slow-mo it for you guys so you guys could really see. His first target here is Mercy. He doesn't like his chances, just he's flying all around, it's a harder shot to hit. Then he looks at Junkrat, who was strafing and jumping, still not good, and then he finally sees Birdring, pretty much stationary on the ground, and he knew that was the target. Now, some of you guys may ask why Birdring was playing there, and actually, Birdring was probably in the most optimal position if Surefour was actually on Brigida playing with the team. This is because mirroring the opposing team and playing the shield battle is pretty much textbook in Overwatch. Think of this positional rotation game as pieces on a chessboard. You always want to be parallel to the opposing team and not get caught out or countered. If the attacking team moves to a new position, the defending team must move to the opposite of that new position. And what's crazy is that if the defending team is too slow, their backline actually becomes caught out and out of position. It's the job of the tanks to reposition and hold the front line, and the supports to continue moving, following the lead of their main tanks. This explains the position of Jester's shield, a really good spot to deflect damage coming from LA. LA knew that London would rotate perfectly, which is why this whole play was set up in the first place, for Surefour to pick off the rotators. Watching this play at first, I thought maybe a good spot for Birdring would be up top alley, but LA Gladiators could have stayed up top and pushed through holes in clock, in which his angle would have been completely limited to the Rhine shield. So putting himself in that spot on the ground opens him up for a more efficient side angle. Once Surefour kills Widow, he sees Mercy exposed in the air, and that's an easy kill as well. Up 2 kills with no healers for London, the Gladiators were able to take advantage of the situation and gave us the greatest trick play in Overwatch League history. If you guys really enjoyed this video, please give me a like, and if you guys want more content like this, please subscribe to this channel. My name is Motorious, and this video is brought to you by ESTNN.